Aquarius, I'm Leona Nicole Black, and this is your general tarot reading for May 2018. The weather is just glorious in London right now, so I have taken the great pleasure of doing your reading outdoors. We've had thus far a few animal interruptions, but hopefully we'll be okay with you guys. So a couple of things I want to cover before I just get into the messages. I pulled your cards, super interesting. But firstly, if you would like a personal reading with me, then you can get that at nicoleblack.com/services. The second thing is that I've started doing daily tarot readings, and I've been posting them on my Instagram page. I'm Leona Nicole Black on Instagram, and I think it's just a great way to kind of live with the messages and get those meditations and get that growth. I know sometimes it's a wait until you hear from me, so these dailies are a nice way of connecting in between. I will start putting them up on my website at some point, but for now it's on my Instagram page. And I did a couple of podcasts, and I was featured in a magazine article last month, so if you would like to hear me speak about tarot and astrology outside of the context of this particular reading, you can do that, and I'll leave the link in the description box. Okay, so you're reading, Aquarius. Well, first cards I asked Spirit were, how are you showing up in May? And it's really interesting because you get 3 court cards and then the 5 of Cups, disappointment. But I don't want you to be alarmed about that. I also used the Tough Tarot because I just think it's really powerful and it felt right for you. So you've got the Princess of Cups and the disappointment here. So 2 Cups cards have come out for you initially. What I'm feeling from all of your personal character cards this month is that you're really taking responsibility for who you are and how your life has been. And I just see this maturity from you right now, where you're like, I am going to sort myself out. I am going to do the growth that I need. I am going to work on myself. I just see you showing up super in such a responsible way, and I love it. So the Princess of Cups with the disappointment card, 5 of Cups, is about you saying you're actually taking responsibility for the disappointment you've been feeling in your life in general. Now that doesn't mean that you're not allotting responsibility where you need to, but it's saying that you recognize almost the role you've played in perpetuating situations that disappoint you, but also your need to bring healing to yourself. You know, you're having this disappointed feeling on an internal level, and so it's for you to heal that. And the Princess of Cups is about your gentleness towards yourself. And I'm getting this word alchemy for you as well. It came up in one of my daily readings last week, so you might want to go and have a look at that and see what I described as alchemy. But this sense of bringing different parts together to create something whole out of it. And I just see you nurturing yourself right now and being more compassionate with yourself and opening up more space for emotion. And I said to you at the end of last month that I really felt like you guys had got it. I've been saying the same thing to you for months in these readings, and finally a penny drops and you were like, all right, I'm ready to act on this lesson. And so here you are doing that. I love that you're being more emotionally open. The other 2 cards you have are the Princess of Cups and the Princess of Wands and the Prince of Wands. Okay, 2 fire sign cards, really beautiful. So again, the alchemy, what it's saying is that you're caring for yourself emotionally right now, reminding you that I often talk about you as a sign that is so emotionally detached. Okay, and it's not even that you require other people to care for you emotionally. It's almost like you do some level of emotional abandonment of self and don't do that self-care work on an emotional level. You might be doing it practically, business-wise, socially, good to your friends, but to you, where the heart is, you haven't been invested in that. But you are. And I feel like whilst you've been taking care of the heart stuff and the emotional stuff and the spirit and the intuition and all that inner feminine principle energy, you've also now almost found some of that courage, that motivation, that energy to create something new in your life. So the fire energy is feeling like an energy of creation here. It's not externalized yet, but because you have the prince and the princess, like I said, it's alchemy. It's you integrating these different parts of yourself, mind and heart, emotion, intellect and logic, everything, bringing them all together now within yourself in order to create this whole thing, this whole vision, to see it come into fruition for you. And I think this is really dope. So I asked Spirit, what's the context for these cards? What's going on with you. Now, you've got the Hierophant card here, and in some esoteric teachings, the Hierophant can also be your energy. Why do I say this? Because the mantra for Aquarius is I know, and this is also the energy of I know, right? This is the energy of like wisdom and higher knowledge and teaching, and this is your energy here, but it's in reverse. And what it's saying is that up until this point, your own beliefs have been what has trapped you. One of your core beliefs being that you don't need to be integrated externally or internally, right? Like you only need to function as an air sign, you only need to function in a logical way, you only, you know, and therefore that emotions and that element of things, the intuition, or that feminine, more feminine energy, I don't mean that in terms of gender, I mean it as an energy, right? What it represents, the archetype, all of that stuff is like peripheral, and that's been a belief that has been hindering you, and therefore you've been doing that in your life, where it's like things have happened, groups have been established, businesses have been going on, and you're there but not there at the same time. I did some personal readings for like several Aquariuses last week, and I said to them it would be like building a house, working really hard on the architecture, physically laying the bricks down, and then never living in it, watching somebody else move in. That's what you've been doing, and this is what this house, well, it's kind of a house, it's a house of a philosophy, a construction. In reverse, it's saying that you now must recognize that you have been limiting yourself in your beliefs. The Queen of Swords is here, where you've almost woken up to how you've been unfair to others as well. And it isn't a malicious unfairness, Aquarius. It's been the unfairness of withholding yourself. It's the unfairness of lack of participation. It's the unfairness of you only get this much of me. It's the unfairness of I don't understand what you're doing with your feelings there, because I don't do that, you know. So this is Libra energy, and it's what you've not been functioning in, but I feel like you have woken up to this, and it's missed an element in your life, and you're doing the best thing that you can do in the form of the Princess of Cups, which is beginning with yourself, and beginning with self-care and compassion and listening to oneself, and being fair in your judgments towards yourself, and being careful in your assessment of your personal, emotional and interpersonal needs. So that's really, really great for you. Eight of Cups has been you recognizing that because you were abandoning yourself emotionally, you cultivated an emotional swamp, stagnation, something that was a pollutant, okay? So it was like everything built up and did not move, a body of water that was still. And what it's saying here, Aquarius, is that in reverse, this is all I'm describing to you is your own eureka. It's like you've gone, I get it. I know that there has been some stagnant water energy in me, and I must clear it. I must find movement. I must, if it can't be cleared, I must find somewhere else to establish what I want to. It can't be next to a repugnant lake, basically. So what are the spiritual lessons for you? Well, what I really like is that there's a significant amount of air sign energy in the cards, which says to me that you are really showing up as who you are. And I must say, for the first time, maybe since I started doing these readings, there's no the Lovers card. It is not here, which is fantastic, because I think the Lovers energy has now come down from being this external thing that I keep telling you, this thing that Spirit keeps trying to offer you, this thing that you've needed to understand, and here it is finally manifested in your actions, finally manifested in your heart, okay? Feminine and masculine principles here. You doing both of these things, bringing them together, union, inner union, not just external, not just like connecting with others, like it's this internal integrity. So I'm glad to see it's not here for you. But what is here is both the Knight of Swords and the King of Swords, and the Chariot in between, mitigating the two energies. So let's see if I can show it to you. The Knight of Swords here, this side, the Chariot card here, and then the King of Swords here. Now notice that the King of Swords and the Chariot cards are in reverse, and these cards are about your spiritual lessons. Now what this little picture is showing is that thus far, Aquarius, you have almost been abandoning your ultimate growth in the form of the Chariot card. You've been going against the grain in the opposite direction of where you've been pulled spiritually, okay? You've been just like, if I go fast enough, sorry, wrong card, always do that, it's because of the way I'm looking at the camera. If I go fast enough in this direction, I'll get where I want to go. And you've been using speed and might and intelligence and all of those skills, not recognizing that If the path isn't there, it doesn't matter how fast you run, okay? It's not going anywhere. And so the Chariot card here is saying, actually, on the flip side, there is a direction, there is a momentum, there are lessons that are leading you to the King of Swords. So this is about your maturation. Now, I can feel from the energy of the cards that you have started this lesson, that you have initiated it. And I pulled some clarifiers here because I was trying to see, like, what's the relationship between the Knight and the King. Like, before this came through clearly for me, it's like a lesson about your maturity. That's what I was asking. And so 3 cards came up for you. The Innocence card here from the Osho Zen Tarot, the Master card, and then the Past Life card. So what this all came up on the Chariot energy. So what it's saying is that, Aquarius, you're now, if you can take on board the lessons, and I think you're beginning to, you're now moving in the direction of your own growth, in your own maturity. You're now gaining self-mastery, integration, as I've been talking about, of the soul self and the ego self, bringing those 2 things together to show up in the world. You're now, that's why your energy is here, like so much air sign energy, like you're here, you're showing up, no more avoidance, no more Aquarius detachment. Here as well with the form, with the past life energy, it's saying that you are now prepped and primed to heal these karmic issues, these past life energies, the things that you have either done in action or deed earlier in your life, or if you believe in past life philosophy, also things that have been passed down to you genetically, through DNA, through your family, through that bloodline, through those traditions and cultures and tendencies of practice. Okay, so these are your lessons. Your lesson for May is to continue on the road of your maturation spiritually, by doing exactly what you've been doing, which is caring for the emotion and cultivating the intuition, intention, willpower, and fire to do things. So to end your reading, Aquarius, what's your advice based on those cards, that energy? 4 cards came out for you, beginning with the 4 of Pentacles. The message here is build, establish, create. You're going in the right direction now. With all this fire energy, your instincts will be right. You'll have the endurance energy that you need, the creative forces behind you. This card is saying lay some roots now, you know, like find out where you can establish yourself. What you're doing right now is coming home to yourself and to others. So it's saying now, build, take what you have and build, be abundant, be prosperous. And I don't just mean that materially, it can be financially, so it could be establishing businesses, whatever else. But it's saying, Aquarius, come home and establish home for yourself now. Be part of this community for whom you advocate. Aquarius, the humanitarian, like, don't live outside the house I talked about. Move in is the energy here. 9 of Wands, wounding. It's saying continue to pay attention to your deeper wounding. Continue to pay attention to the beliefs that you thought were protecting you, but ultimately were cutting you off from help and healing. Continue to pay attention to those wounds. Continue to use the Princess of Cups energy to nurture and heal. Think about the water energy as kind of washing away, cleansing the wound. Continue doing that, because ultimately you're no longer stuck. I'm happy to see this 8 of Swords. You're no longer stuck here, and this is it. Your mental liberation is the key to everything else for you. You're not stuck anymore, but you need to become whole. Okay, and the becoming whole is not a story of perfection. It is only self-recovery. It's only picking up all the pieces of you that were left. I'm thinking like Isis and Osiris mythology, and this concept of like Osiris being cut and like scattered. It is time for you on your journey home to yourself to pick up these pieces of yourself and put yourself back together as something powerful, okay? Because the last card is the 8 of Wands here, and it's saying you do have the power. You do have the power to create, to initiate, and to begin again in a way that is much healthier, and to establish healthier patterns and structures in your life. But it all starts here. So Aquarius, I hope that you will follow me on Instagram, please, because that's where I'm sharing these messages and it's my favorite platform of engagement. Thank you so much for all the likes, the shares, the subscribes, the comments. I read every single comment, and I really am appreciative of all the love that you show me. And again, if you would like a personal reading to explore what's going on with in your life right now, what you're leaving, what you're establishing, then you can get that at nicoleblack.com/services. I adore you, Aquarius, and I will see you next month. Mwah.